Everyone, Travis here at the very end of week 11 of the NALCS Summer Split. Joined by ZionSpartan of Team Dignitas. Team Dignitas just, well, unfortunately lost. But you're here. And I'm going to interview you. Now, whenever you guys were in that game, it did seem like for the most part of that entire game you were going to be winning. And then for some reason something strange happened and LMQ won. So what really was it that turned the whole game around?
I think we just haven't had really good control of like taking our leads, and especially at Baron, just like baiting it correctly. Like, we're not the Team Dignitas team that throws at Baron by like actually starting the Baron. We're the team that throws at Baron by not baiting it correctly. So doing that wrong has really been, especially in the LMQ game, didn't really allow us to end the game right, and we kind of just like threw the game really hard. And I definitely thought that game was in the bag, so that was kind of sad. And these past couple weeks, the only game I think we've won is against CLG with 5 subs. So we definitely haven't been winning that much. But honestly, I'm feeling a lot better right now than I have before, just because we realize what our problems are and we have 3 weeks to fix our issues. And it's looking right now like we're going to be playing TSM in the final. I don't want to say anything too soon, but looks like if Curse wins this game, and they're doing really well right now, that might end up against TSM. And I'm pretty confident going into that if we have those 3 weeks of practice to really hone in on our mistakes.
What do you think you're going to do preparing for playoffs? Because it's a little bit of a different thing from like the LCS where you prepare for 2 different teams or something like that, and it's best of ones. What are you looking at, in terms of practice for playoffs?
Well, we have a whole split of games. We definitely don't want to go to the first game of the split and be like, look at that mistake we made there. But we can definitely look at the last couple weeks and look at all those mistakes and really like learn from what we need to improve on. And it's a lot easier when you don't have to worry about LCS games. We only have to prepare for one team, 3 weeks for one team. It's very easy to prepare for that. And I think that's why these playoff matches are going to be really good. And I really like what Riot's doing with like the format. It's like before it was like a 3-day weekend thing where it's one team the next day after the next day after the next day. You don't really have that much time to prepare. And I really like how it's going to build up the hype for these games. Like, everyone's going to be like, no matter what team's playing which team, it's like watching them climb their way to the top of the bracket and then seeing the finals like build up over like a month is very exciting, I feel.
What do you think of TSM right now as a team? I'm watching them die to Curse a bunch, but what do you think of them now that they've got Lessboy?
Honestly, I feel like Lessboy didn't really change that much besides the new player feel. I've known that feel a lot because especially when I was on like GGU, like the old coast, we'd switch out players a lot, and getting that new player was kind of like a breath of fresh air. And I know they had some issues with Glebe, but I honestly don't think having Lessboy or like having another challenger support player would make that big of a difference because his communication isn't that strong, and I think communication is just as is the most important in a support role. So I don't really think that that's that big of an issue. But for TSM, Loco coming in, they definitely have gotten a little bit better, but I haven't seen any significant changes. And yesterday when we were playing them, Cutie Pie was saying like Turtle and Lessboy, yeah, they were playing very scared. Kiwi walked up to like bind them, and they both immediately flashed, even though the hook was even though the hook was nowhere near them. And I just think they're not in a very good spot right now, and it's weird because usually when you get a new player, everyone's excited and there's the breath of fresh air that I was talking about earlier, but it didn't seem like that.
Any thoughts on how patch 4.13 might affect the playoffs at all?
I think there's definitely going to be a change to the champion pools coming in. I don't want to talk too much about it, of course, because I've got some things in the works, but you guys will see for playoffs. But I definitely think things are going to change up in terms of champion picks, but for the most part, I think a lot of it's going to be the same. I don't think there's that big of drastic changes. Like, every top laner is going to have TP, Dragon's still the most important thing. Like, I think the same things that are important will be important.
Very good. Now, if you go to playoffs, or when you go to playoffs, what do you think the odds are of you guys making it to Worlds?
I think it's really on these 3 weeks of practice. Again, it's kind of hard to tell because you look at us the last couple of weeks, it's like, yeah, we have been declining. We have been that dig team that has been losing a lot towards the end of the split. But honestly, it's just if we take these 3 weeks of practice and utilize it more than we have the whole split and like really learn a lot from it, I think we will come out a really fearsome team and we'll do really well. You saw in that LMQ game, like, we had the huge advantage. It's just converting it with having better map control, having better vision control, and these small nuances that make big differences.
I never had a chance to ask you guys about this yesterday, but you did have a Rengar pick that was somewhat controversial. I actually even saw your analyst on Twitter being like, why do we have Rengar? What was the story behind that?
Rengar, I just don't ever want to think about that champion. Rengar is like everybody, even Reddit was right about this. They're like, Rengar, please, God, no, like don't pick Rengar. It's like, why? And then we did it. And yeah, I would definitely regret that decision. I just think Rengar as a champion is very hard to pull off correctly, because what happens in scrims is everyone's like, oh, we're just practicing scrims. Like, I don't need to position that well, and they'll get caught out. But in LCS, everyone plays safe, and people will have wards everywhere for Rengar. It's like, oh, look at Rengar ulting. Rengar is literally like the new, like when Evelyn was god awful. That's what Rengar is. He's like that moving ward when he ults now. And that's kind of how NA's been playing him. I know Korea's had more success with him, but the way every team's been playing him in NA has just been really bad. And yeah, he just doesn't seem like that good of a pick. So good job, Reddit detectives. You hit the nail on the coffin for this one.
I think it's on the head. On the coffin sounds so depressing. The nail on the coffin, it's like...
All these losses are getting to my head. I'm actually not that depressed. I'm feeling pretty good, even though we lost a lot of games. But yeah, nail on that. Thank you, Travis. That's why you're the hero of esports. You always got my back.
So I always tell my video producer, I always got his back. I've always got everybody's back. Although I do like nail on the coffin, because that makes it sound so bad for North America. You know, like, yeah, they really just hit that nail on that coffin. That is the North American LCS scene. What do you think of their other theory, the other Reddit theory, that North America, the fact that we seem to not be able to utilize Rengar correctly, it's not that we can't use it correctly and Korea can, so Korea's better. It's that we know how to counter it appropriately, which means that we're better than Korea, who doesn't know how to counter it correctly, and thus we will win worlds, because when we play against Koreans, they will pick Rengar, and we will know how to counter it properly and beat them.
You're ruining the whole plan, Travis. I told you before the beginning of this interview, don't
cut this part.
Secret.
Yeah. Cut this part.
He's ruining everything right here, Marking. Even the cameraman knows. He's keeping his mouth shut. Travis, you're just running your mouth. I told you not to tell him about the Rengar secret. I had to play up Rengar. We're awful with Rengar. We're going to bring him out in playoffs. It's going to be never before seen Rengar play. And there you go, just ruining everything. Reddit detectives are always right, Travis. What are we going to do now for playoffs?
Fiora? Fiora, is that what we're going to do? Because apparently Fiora's never seen competitive play.
Actually, I like playing Fiora, and I was thinking about playing Fiora, but now that you brought up the other champion I was going to play, I guess we can't have nice things, Travis, can we? That's going to be gone now, too, so just going to be playing Maokai. I'm just going to be a tree that stands there and takes damage. That sounds like a lot of fun. So.
I love that as you say this, I look up and Quas is playing Maokai right now.
Yeah, trees are all the rave right now. You just stand there and like throw your ult up and just like, hey guys, you just stand there. You just be a tree in the game, and you're being more useful than any other champion in the top lane. So it's really nice.
You have any shout outs, plugs, anything you want to say to any of the ZionSpartan fans out there?
Yeah, thank you to all my fans and all the Dignitas fans for supporting us. I know it's been a rough couple weeks, but I really think that we can bring it back together, and I think that we'll do really well at playoffs if we just practice well. So yeah, hopefully you guys will be able to see a new and improved Dignitas at playoffs. And thanks to all our sponsors, of course.
Well, thank you so much for the interview. Sorry for the loss today. Normally I say congratulations on the win, but you guys lost. You can check out the rest of our coverage of all things esports at oddgamers.com.